If your goal is to lose body fat while gaining muscle, this video is gonna help you do that. I used to think that losing fat and gaining muscle at the same time was impossible unless I took steroids. But I found a way to do just that. And I'm gonna give you a 3-step guide in simple and easy steps so that you can get your ideal body fat percentage while gaining muscle in the process. This is gonna be how I did it. I didn't count calories. I took a different approach, and I'm gonna share that approach with you. Before we get into the steps, however, I want to share a story with you. I was a fat kid up into my late teens. I was very unhealthy. When I turned 16, I started lifting, and I made pretty good gains in strength and muscle mass, but the gains were always under a layer of fat. This is mainly because I ate whatever I wanted, and I would cope by drinking a protein shake, thinking all that matters is how much muscle I gain. But this lifestyle was unhealthy, and I never felt good. I didn't know what feeling good was because of the chemical ingredients in the food that I was eating every day. One day I clicked a carnivore diet video on my YouTube feed, and I watched it and I decided I was going all in on this, but I wanted fast results. So not only was I going to do the carnivore diet, but I was going to combine it with intermittent fasting, and I was going to eat once per day. That's exactly what I did. I would fast all day, and at the end of the night I would eat up to 2 pounds of beef. And I did this for 3 months. I was not perfect on this commitment. There were plenty of times where I would binge carbs, but I made sure to never eat anything processed. If I ate carbs, it was homemade cookies or homemade banana bread that my girlfriend at the time would make. Simple ingredient foods, no weird chemicals. At the end of this process, I ended up losing 30 pounds of pure body fat and keeping all of my muscle. My strength actually went up. After doing this diet, at the 3-month mark, everything changed. I felt a drop in my testosterone levels, and up to this point, my testosterone seemed to be the highest that it's ever been. It was through the roof on this diet. I researched it and found out that eating too much protein and not enough fat and carbs causes your body to produce a high amount of an enzyme called SHBG. This stands for sex hormone binding globulin. What this does is it binds up all of your free floating around testosterone in your bloodstream, and it renders this testosterone unusable by the body. Looking back, instead of eating sirloin every night, which is a very lean cut of meat, I should have been eating ribeyes or a fattier cut of meat. This probably would have mitigated this issue, but I was less knowledgeable back then, and I was pretty much living off of sirloin. I was prioritizing high amounts of protein over protein and fat. So I decided to add carbs back into my diet. I did this by eating those little mini oranges. The next day after eating a bag of those, I felt my testosterone was back almost immediately. So I kept the carbs, and I would eat fruit before my workouts while still keeping the base of my diet, meat and fat. I experimented with different cuts of meat and found that ribeye and fatty cuts of meat made me feel better and boosted my testosterone. There's a lot more to this story, but that's the basis of my fat loss journey. One of the biggest problems people have, and that I used to have, is maintaining the lean state that you achieve after losing this weight, and also being able to build muscle while maintaining that lean state. I'm gonna walk you through the steps that are gonna get you lean while building muscle. And then I'm gonna tell you the rules to maintain the physique you build and continue to gain muscle without putting on fat. I just wanna preface and say that this is how I did it. I never liked the idea of counting calories. I like simple rules and habits that I can follow so that I don't have to sit there and write out or track every single thing that I eat. So let's get into the steps. Step 1, depending on how fast you want to lose body fat, you can either do the carnivore diet or you can do carnivore fasting like I did. Carnivore fasting is going to make you lose fat the fastest, but if you can't eat enough meat in one sitting, there's a chance that you risk losing muscle. The amount of meat that you need to eat is going to vary person to person. As a rule of thumb, eat until you're full, and if you want to increase the amount of muscle you gain while doing this, eat a little bit past when you're full. Make sure you're getting plenty of saturated fat when you're doing this. Good sources are grass-fed butter, tallow, ghee, and fat from the actual beef that you're eating. If you don't eat a good amount of fat, you're gonna feel like shit on this diet. I also wanna say that the benefits of eating this way go beyond just losing weight or losing body fat. You can expect your brain fog to go away, your hair and skin to improve. My eyesight improved on this diet. I felt more sharp mentally and in all aspects, including downstairs, if you know what I mean. After you achieve the body fat percentage you like using step 1, the carnivore diet or carnivore fasting, it's time to start introducing carbs, because I don't think that the carnivore diet is sustainable long term. And I think that if you were to do it long enough, you would start to lose a small amount of muscle. 3 to 6 months is the longest I would consider doing it for, and this is because I'm very athletically active. The amount of time you do this diet is going to depend on how much fat you actually have, and if you're sedentary and you sit all day at your job. If you sit all day or you live a sedentary lifestyle, you can get away with doing this diet for a much longer period of time. This brings me to step 2. After getting to the body fat level that you want and starting to see your abs for the first time, it's time to start reintroducing carbs one at a time. Absolutely no processed carbohydrates. You have just healed your body's metabolic issues, and we don't want to start throwing poison back into the tank. So things like fruit, honey, white rice, see how your body reacts, notice the side effects of different carbs. At this point, since you've been eating nothing but meat for the past however many months, your body's going to be very sensitive to different foods and how they make you feel. Figure out what carbs agree with your body and which ones don't. If you eat white rice and you get brain fog, stop eating it. If you eat too many oranges and get diarrhea, stop eating them, or don't eat so many next time. This process of finding out what agrees with your body is going to be specific to you, and once you find a few carbs that make you feel good and that your body runs well off of, stick with those. Step number 3 is carb timing. You lost the body fat through carnivore, and now you found the carbs that agree with your body. What you are not going to do is overeat those carbs. This is one of the most important steps because it's going to determine if you revert back to being your fat self or you keep your health. We're going to keep the same carnivore diet we were eating, so we're still going to eat the same amount of meat and saturated fat. But now I want you to start adding in carbs before your workouts. It's going to give your muscles the glycogen they need, and it's going to put you into a hyperanabolic state. The reason that I say to keep your meals the same is because by doing the carnivore diet, it's like a hard reset for your body that fixes your metabolic issues and the urges you have to overeat. So through this process, your body learns to eat intuitively. And this is one of the biggest things you will gain from this process. This skill of bodily awareness and the ability to tell what food is doing what and what food provide different results. Once you gain this ability through the steps that I just outlined, you will not need a guide and you will not need to count calories. You will intuitively know what you need to eat and when you need to stop eating. This diet will get you acclimated with the differences between running off of glucose and running off of your fat stores, right? Eating carbs or being in ketosis. This is a journey more than it is a diet plan. When you walk this journey, it creates a state of connection with your body. And this state of connection has been severed by the processed foods that we eat. The steps that I've outlined will work best if combined with intense training. If you're watching this video, you probably already train, but if by chance you don't, or you want a better training program, feel free to shoot me a DM on Instagram and I will make you a program for free. I'm not trying to sell you anything. All I ask is that you give me a follow. I offer this because my audience is very small right now, and I think it would be cool to connect with you guys. My purpose is to help men grow through improving their fitness, masculinity, vitality, and natural testosterone. I try to make this video as simple as possible for you guys, and I hope you use this 3-step system to get lean, jacked, and healthy. To recap, step number 1 is carnivore and carnivore fasting. Step number 2 is add natural carb sources and find which ones are right for you. Step number 3 is instead of overindulging in those carbs, add them in and use them to fuel your workouts. If you got value from this video, subscribe and drop a like. And as always, boys, in a world full of don'ters, be a doer.